Welcome to Canada's podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Canada's podcast. My name is Rivers Corbett, and just really thrilled to have a voice of entrepreneurship in Atlantic Canada with us today. And I'm really pleased and honored to introduce to you Mr. Liam Byrne. Liam is just one of those guys. Well, why he and I get along so well is because he's like me. We can't get enough of this freaking space. As much as it may cause headaches and pains, the joys and the thrills of being involved with the entrepreneurship journey are really special. So, Liam, welcome to Canada's podcast, my man.
Thanks, Rivers. I appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, we're going to have a great conversation because we're going to talk about, I want to get into Enterpriser Canada, which has really become the voice in Atlantic Canada for the entrepreneur. It's about events, it's a media brand. It's focused in on highlighting the local talent, investing in the future of Atlantic Canadian entrepreneurs. You got some really cool stuff happening with that, but take us back to those times when you said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. What was it that tweaked in you said, I got to be an entrepreneur?
Oh, man. My inability to take direction. No.
That's like all of us, dude.
Yeah. I actually like the first real exposure that I had to entrepreneurship was really young. I was actually selling like stuff door to door, and I had an opportunity to
what were you selling?
Vacuum cleaners.
You were not.
Yeah, when I was like 19 years old, I was selling vacuums door to door, and I was actually really good at it. And the opportunity came up to like open my own like distribution office, right? And I didn't really understand what that meant at the time, but I like incorporated a business. I started hiring people, all the direction of somebody much older than me, and I kind of just caught the bug. Now, I mean, I failed miserably, and I failed miserably many times after that too.
Rite of passage, dude. It's the rite of passage.
Yeah, for sure. The first a real exposure that I had to entrepreneurship, I had an opportunity to leave Canada and go live in Poland and work for a tech startup, which is now the very well-known email marketing company called GetResponse. And at the time, GetResponse was still just in one building with maybe 100 employees. It wasn't very big. And so the founder was still very involved in the company. And I was like, this is really cool. Like he was in all the meetings. He was on the phone with customers and stuff. It was a really interesting experience in comparison to what I'd had working for big corporations. And so when I got back here to Canada and started to branch out on my own, I started to really learn about the tech entrepreneurship space. And this was in 2012. Okay. And that's when I hit my first real business. I started a tech startup called Freshify, and my goal was to provide, get this because it's hilarious. My goal was to provide fresh organic food delivered to the door of everybody in Halifax, and eventually in Atlantic Canada. And
wow.
Yeah, and this is before food was being delivered.
Ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and everyone was like, this is a really cool idea. And I had the back end built, the website built. I had put a bunch of my own money into it, and I started going out for funding, and people were telling me, no, people are never gonna order fresh food online and have it delivered to their door. And I couldn't get any more money. I couldn't get any funding for it. And I was like, this is such a good idea. And, a couple of years later, I mean, look where we are now, right? It's like,
yeah, it's crazy. So, first of all, I'm curious as to how did you get, people leaning in, the young entrepreneurs in particular, how did you get the job in Poland? That's an interesting journey.
That was really just a right place, right time thing. There was, I was working for a company and I wasn't making a ton of money. and my wife at the time, or my ex-wife, we just found out that we were pregnant, and I was like, I need to be grown up mode now. I need to be making more money here. So I started looking for better paying jobs and stuff, and I came across this position of director of sales, and I had a ton of sales experience. And the guy that was recruiting over in Poland, he was from South Africa. He worked for eBay before, and he had come over to this startup to help. And we just hit it off. We were both like really heavy duty salespeople at the time. We chatted back and forth. The numbers looked right. And he said, you gotta spend a couple of months in Poland. And I was like, yeah, man, like, let's do that. That sounds fantastic. My ex-wife was not overly enthused about me disappearing during her early pregnancy. But it was still a great time. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I just love it. Man, you're a real pioneer in that whole space that you're hanging out. The spaces you've hung out in, things such as the CRMs, the email marketing, the organic food, and so on. But a sales guy through and through. And so, I want to touch into that because to me, it's the number one, I'll call it, talent that is really lacking in entrepreneurs. In our world, let alone Atlantic Canada, we spend so much time teaching people about how to pitch to investors. We forget about how to teach them, we just don't do it, teaching them on pitching to customers. Can you talk about some fundamental mistakes that entrepreneurs are going through right now in that whole area of sales? You say, you got to get focused in on these things because you're just seeing that void in the market right now.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to best practices, really, the best practice is that there are no rules when you're a small business owner. Cash is king, and what a lot of businesses fall flat on their face. And what I've noticed, and what I always had a hard time, in the beginning too, was managing transaction all the way through till the end, right? Because just because someone says that they're interested in buying something from you, like that checks a box off, but having that revenue is still so far away in most cases. And so the biggest way to manage that is to have developed a great relationship with who it is that you're, the person writing the checks basically, is to have a pre-established relationship. And I really have to say that you should never be going into a situation where you're just trying to sell something or where you're asking for money, where the person that you're talking to doesn't already 100% know why you're there through your marketing activities, through your pre-sale activities, right? If you're going into, whether it's a pitch conversation, whether you're going in, like what I talk to, like my most daily function is talking to potential sponsors for conferences and for our magazine and for a podcast. If I'm going and sitting down in front of somebody and talking to them about that and having the brochure in front of me, I expect that they, through my other activities, that they already know why I'm there. They already know what package I think is best for them. They've seen all the commercials. They've seen the advertisements online. I've sent them 3 or 4 emails. They've seen the videos, right? All this stuff has already happened, because the last thing you want to do is be sitting down in front of somebody and having that really awkward situation where you still have to sell the gap, where you still are trying in the final pitch to try to figure out what it is that the customer needs to buy from you. You should already know that should be long gone. It should be a formality that you're just sitting down and saying, here's what I think. It should be like, that should be the handshake session, not, which one of these would you like to buy today? That should have happened a long time ago before you ever sit down with someone, because what entrepreneurs will find and what I've found is it is really, really, really difficult to sit down with somebody, especially when you're a new business. It's very difficult to get in front of somebody. So you have to make so much use, like perfect use of that time. And so overcoming barriers and hurdles, or doing like closing, or, handling objections, all that stuff should be long, long gone, So having a great relationship, and having them understand it.
I love this conversation because so much we dive into, you want to buy, right? And you're saying, no, it's about relationships. and finding that niche, finding that need and or that pain point, whatever you want to call it, and making sure that by the time you get to that person's office, they know that you're there to help them and you've got a solution and you just need to talk about that solution. So I find this, in our day and age, it's really about, okay, rush. What you're suggesting, it's a little bit more of a dance to a waltz to a, okay, now we're ready to kiss type of thing. How do you approach that journey, if I could say that correctly? Is there certain hacks that you use that just keep you focused in on that? Because I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I it's kind of like courting, right? Courting in the 1800s, and so the pre-sale activities and the marketing activities of your business have to be on point, right? So, I can drill down far enough into my marketing activities to know whether or not the person who I'm going to be sitting in front of, I know what they've seen. I know if they've seen my advertisements. I know if they've seen my meals. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I know if they've even clicked on links in the email marketing emails that they've sent out. So I already know all this stuff. And so, and so the pre-sale activities are things like making sure that you have someone who's sending out specific brochures, or that the funnel that you've built for that person to travel through before they meet with you, making sure, like checking where they are in that funnel. I want to know how many different pieces of marketing information they've seen already so that I can fill in those gaps. So one, I don't look like I'm repeating myself, and two, I know where they are in their head and part of their customer journey. And so one of the biggest hacks for that is having a great, properly functioning CRM. Like I use HubSpot, and HubSpot.
Okay.
Yeah, HubSpot connected with my email marketing system, which I use MailChimp. So I've got MailChimp, I've got HubSpot, and for landing pages, I use Unbounce. But when all those things are functioning properly together, I can go into a potential client, somebody who I'm thinking about selling. I can see where they are in their life cycle. I can see what marketing information they've got. I know exactly where they are in the process. And as a small business owner, especially someone really just first starting out, when revenue is so key, like you really have to be that dialed in to your potential clients. Like you have to know exactly who they are, what they are, where they are. Yeah. And in order for you to be able to close that sale essentially.
Yeah, I love that. I love that piece. And I love it because I'm terrible at it. I really dive into the relationship. I'll just dance to the until you want to kiss me versus really understanding, oh no, this is the deal. She's going to wear this first. He's going to do this and so on. I don't really analyze that. And it's because I'm not a detailed person. So I love the fact that you've reinforced that to me. It doesn't matter if I'm a detailed person or not. Get the system in place and at least have someone who can manage it for you, look after those detailed pieces, because when you get there, you're lucky to have that time. 100%.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Don't do everything yourself. I've done that before. It's, some people don't want to spend money on maybe hiring somebody because it saves money. But, whatever my strengths are, that's what I have to use. It's being in person-to-person meeting. I'm great at doing person-to-person meetings, but all the other setup stuff, like, I got to have somebody else do it, because if I focus all my energy on all those other things, I'm going to fall on my face when it comes time to do the one really good thing that I'm good at,
I love it. And HubSpot, you're a fan of that because they provide you with all those supports and resources to help you with it.
Yeah, I like HubSpot because of the fact that almost everything is automated. It syncs up with all the other tools that I use, the G Suite. It syncs up with MailChimp. It syncs up with Unbounce. So everything just feeds into HubSpot, and I really don't have to do anything. And it's incredibly low cost too. Like, I mean, it's like Salesforce is incredibly expensive. If I had my druthers, I'd use Salesforce. But I mean, I don't feel like spending $1,000 a month. So HubSpot's cheap, and it has all the automation tools. And it's not as robust, but I don't have enough employees really to justify that kind of expense yet.
Thanks for letting us take a jump down that rabbit hole, because there's not too many sales professionals out there that really drive deep into what we just talked about. So thank you for that. So you had an events company that was very much focused in on doing event specifically for entrepreneurs, bring them together, bring value, bring education, bring relationship building, and so on. But you did it across the country. And you have pivoted to, I'm going to say contract, but not really contract. You pivoted and said, I'm going to go deep in Atlantic Canada rather than wide in Canada. Tell us about Enterpriser and what's your mission that you're on right now and driving entrepreneurship, the journey, the conversation, the success of entrepreneurship in Atlantic Canada.
Sure. So we met in 2016 at the Entrepreneurial Development Conference and Expo. I can't remember who it was that introduced us. But anyways, the Entrepreneurial Development Conference and Expo was a conference. At the time, it was just going to be a one-off show. I thought maybe 100 people would show up. I really didn't think what was going to happen happened. But it was just a gathering for people to network and to bring in, 50 or 60 experts from the Atlantic region and also from around different parts of the world to talk about the best practices for really the young entrepreneur, the new entrepreneur. And we did that, and it was so successful that a lot of our sponsors were like, you should do this across the country. We'll support you everywhere. And so we did. We went and we did a whole bunch of sessions through, from between 2016 and 2018. It was insanely exhausting to do something like that with such a small team. And what I noticed was that although we had a great time and were successful in every city that we went to, I just didn't have the same passion for it that we did when we did the show in 2016 and the show in 2018 in Halifax. So anyone who was at the 2018 show and also probably remembers that I also became quite sick and was hospitalized. So we did take quite a bit of a break after that last show. And I got into consulting work because I wanted to kind of dial back how much effort I was putting out into the world. But I missed it so much. We started to ramp up the third EDCE show for 2020. That's when we were going to get back into it. I'd been doing consulting. We wanted to get back into it. And then COVID happened. And you know what? I'm really glad that COVID happened because I was all in to go back and start doing the same thing I was doing before, which was follow the sponsors across the country, follow the money basically. And when COVID happened, we had to cancel the show, and it made me take a really, really deep look at what I actually was enjoying out of this, right? Like take my own advice, really, is do what you love, right? Help other people. Money will be a byproduct as long as you're trying to help other people and doing what you love. And so I needed to create a couple of additional foundations for the company in case there was another pandemic. So we have the magazine, Enterpriser Magazine, and we have the podcast, Enterpriser Podcast. Those will survive no matter what. And but the whole thing is the Enterpriser event. So we rebranded it from the Entrepreneurial Development Conference and Expo to Enterpriser Canada. But Enterpriser Canada is a content producing company for entrepreneurs for Atlantic Canada only. Our, the pinnacle is our once a year event. But then we have our quarterly magazine, which we'll be launching at the first event in 2023 in April. And then we have our biweekly podcast, which launches next month. And so we're a year-round content providing company. It's like a hub for entrepreneurs in Atlantic Canada.
I love it. So how are you getting the message out right now? You spend a lot of time with sponsors and so on. How are you getting the message out right now about the value proposition that Enterpriser is bringing to the market?
The value proposition is different depending on who you're talking to. For the attendees, the people that go to the show, the value proposition is in learning from the speakers. We're obviously blessed with a massive database of people who have already attended the show, from sponsors, from key partners, stakeholders, all the way down to the thousands of people that actually came to the show. So those databases still exist and have always been nurtured on social media and email marketing. And so we've just recently started sending out, email marketing information to people with regards to that. There's a ton of activity on social media. We've made the decision to move away from Facebook, as a lot of people are doing now, because the audience is a little more mature on LinkedIn. And so all of our marketing activity is now happening on LinkedIn. And I'm just noticing the uptake, even in the first, like we only announced the Enterpriser conference about a month. Just like 6 weeks ago. And there's already something like 650 people who have RSVP'd on LinkedIn. And I'm going through the list of the people, and it's a very mature audience. We're talking about a lot of C-suite people in medium businesses have RSVP'd. And then of those 650 people, we've got a couple of hundred who have gone even further down the funnel and who have now actually registered on Eventbrite and given our details saying, as soon as the ticket goes on sale, I'm buying one, email me. I didn't expect that. Yes. Yeah. And so I didn't expect that 13 months away from a conference, we'd have 650 people who are like, let's go. But there is, and I think it's because there hasn't been an event since 2 years. But people are like really, really, really pumped about it. I've got a whole spreadsheet now of dozens of guests for the podcast. We've got at least 15 speakers we're still interviewing. Like, things are moving really, really fast, and I'm really pumped about it.
Oh, that's so cool. So as entrepreneurs, we're leaning in. We're saying, okay, Liam, you're out there, but you got to feed yourself right now. How are you bringing in revenue while you're moving towards this, the momentum you've gotten? Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. I did survive for a couple of years as a consultant. And so I've developed some pretty good relationships with a couple of like major clients that I still serve as, managing their email marketing campaigns, their funnels online. That's what I'm good at, whether it's my business myself or whether I'm helping another business develop their own sales funnel. However, it's just not something that I pictured doing for the rest of my life. I got in it for 2 years and I was like, I'm good at this, but it's not what I love. So fortunately, I still have some clients that pay the bills, but
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, entrepreneurs go, as you mentioned earlier, you went through, had some businesses, didn't work out. So you do what you got to do, but you've always been honest to that spirit that want to have your own business and to have your own event business and media business. And the fact that you're doing that with some extra, getting some clients on the side to help you get there, that's just freaking awesome. I just love that. That's the spirit of the pioneer entrepreneur.
Side hustle is key. Side hustle is key.
Side hustle is really key, and diversification, whatever you want to call it. So that's really cool. Talk to us about what you're experiencing with the entrepreneurship environment in Atlantic, Canada.
There's definitely been a couple of really big shifts that I think were probably inspired a bit by the pandemic.
Yes.
The big buzzwords now are sustainability. The big buzzwords are innovation, and another big buzzwords. And these are all things we're going to talk about at the conference, and scaling.
Yes.
This was not those, especially innovation and sustainability. That stuff was not in 2016, 2017, 2018. That wasn't even. There were companies doing it, but they were small and it was just a very small piece of the pie. But now, Halifax and Atlantic Canada as a whole, but Halifax especially, we're becoming like an international hub for tech entrepreneurship. And I think the one thing that I've seen more than anything else is that people realized when the pandemic started and it never went away, that we don't have to do things the way that we thought we did or that we've been told that we have to for so many years. I remember when I closed the office that I was operating out of, and I just always thought I needed an office. I was spending like $2,800 a month on rent, right? And then they were like, well, you can't come here anymore. Sorry, we're closed. And I was like, well, this is my business. And they're like, well, we can't come here. and then, but after like 3 months, I was like, why the hell was I paying $2,800? Like, and I'll never go back to that again. Like that was a terrible idea. But it's so ingrained in our brains that we have to like have a business and stuff, like a place of business. Now we all work remotely and things get done and everyone's happy. Like, it's really great to be able to know that I can go anywhere I want, sit down. If I have internet in my laptop, I can work anywhere as I want. And that is a really cool feeling. And I think that everyone kind of figured that out in their own way, regardless of what their business was. They're like, at first it was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get back to normal. And it was like, holy crap, I have no idea what to do. And eventually it was like, well, I could just do this instead. No one's going to yell at me. This is better. Why don't I just do it this way? So everyone seems to have kind of caught their own innovation bug, basically.
Yeah, I love it. And the thing that's good is T-shirts and hoodies are kind of become the new norm of doing business. I hate to be in the men's formal wear industry. Just a tough little tip-top tailors, tough business to be in, I got to think.
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary does all of his podcasts in his box. He wears a suit jacket and then his boxers, and he makes a point of having a camera on the side so you can see that he's not wearing any pants in all of his meetings.
That's so brilliant. I love it. So, what we're coming near the end of this conversation. One of the things is, let's kind of lean in now. How do people hang out with you, Liam, and Enterpriser to find more about what you're doing? I think what I love about this is you're really the organization that's the voice for entrepreneurs with the media company and with Enterpriser doing all the things. So lean in, man. Tell us how people can hang out, get registered for the conference, those sort of things.
Sure. Well, there's two ways. Anyone that's ever messaged me on LinkedIn knows that I respond to everybody on LinkedIn. So if you've got specific questions, if you want to talk, if you want to get on the phone for half an hour, whatever, just message me on LinkedIn. But anything to do with Enterpriser is all in one place. If you want to learn about the magazine, you want to learn about the podcast or listen to the episodes that are already out, or if you want to put your name down until tickets go on sale, which they won't go on sale until probably, I think, like August is when we're planning, August, September. Okay. So until then, you can actually go to www.enterpriser.ca and put your name down in the ticket registration list for free. And anybody that does that before tickets go on sale will actually get a discount when the tickets go on sale. So if you pre-register, you're going to get a discount anyways. And then that also signs you up for the email marketing list. So you'll get a notification every time a new podcast come out. Anytime we have a new speaker, you'll get the bio of the speaker. When we start announcing sessions over the summer, what sessions are actually going to happen during the conference, all that stuff. You get all that stuff as long as you're registered to buy a ticket when they come out. And there's no obligation to buy one, but your name's on the mailing list, basically.
Yeah, no, I love it. They're doing the drip campaign focus on that. I think that's very cool. Have you got a venue for it yet?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got two, and I can't say yet because we haven't signed a document yet, but I'm pretty sure most people who live in Atlantic, Canada know where conferences happen in Halifax. There's a pretty big building in downtown where they go down. So
the big building. I love it.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's the next 13 months look for you then? Because you're actually 12 months because you're talking. It's April, right? April. And again, I know that you're a media. You're much more than one event, but let's focus in on the next 13 months of building your business.
Yeah.
What's some highlights?
The events side of it is second nature to me now. So and the amount of signups that we have really helped us gain a lot of traction with sponsors. So the sponsor event development side of it is really on autopilot now. So the next big thing for us and podcast, I mean, the podcast is just, I love it because it's just fun to do, so the big thing. Yeah, exactly. The big thing for us right now is to be able to launch the coolest entrepreneurship and business magazine in Atlanta, Canada next year at the conference. That's going to be that the Enterpriser magazine is going to change the way people expect their magazine for entrepreneurship and business in Atlanta, Canada to be. It's going to make a lot of people shake. Our competitors are going to be like, oh crap, we got to step our game up. We're gonna launch an amazing magazine. So right now, I'm working with some ex-editor-in-chiefs, or interviewing and talking to them and figuring out who's going to help me run that, because I've never run a magazine company before. I'll learn how to do it. I'm an entrepreneur, but.
That's one thing I love about you, man. You just say, "Let's go do it. Let's dive into it."
For the next 13 months, we're gonna be building one hell of a magazine. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. We're glad you came back from Poland. We're glad that you're focusing on Atlantic Canada. It is a hotbed right now, and there's a lot of need for the value you're going to be bringing, brother. So thanks for being on Canada's podcast. We certainly appreciate it, and I'm glad I'm one of your colleagues and bringing the voice of entrepreneurship to Atlantic Canadians and beyond. So lean in, folks. Connect with Liam. He's so right. Response fast. Enterpriser. Go find out what they're doing. Follow them. It's going to be a great ride till next April, and then after that, it's going to be an even more fantastic ride. So keep doing what you're doing, bro.
All right. Thanks.